Alright, so this is the last of the component install videos, component install 3. And in this video, basically install the GPU into the motherboard, mount the GPU cooler on the back, and then mount the CPU cooling block on the CPU. And when that's done, then all the components that are going to be installed will be installed, and we'll move on to wiring. Getting ready to put the GPU board in, so you have to take off this plastic stuff if you want it to breathe properly. I don't know why they put that stuff on there, given the risk that people might not take the plastic off. Oops. Okay. There's a cover over the card edge. Get this stuff out of the way. Okay, so we're 2 slots we have to open up, and looking in here, plugging in this slot here. So we need to take out the 2nd and 3rd covers. Okay, now grab the board. Goes like this. This tang here is going to go behind that little slot there. And of course this is now in the wrong place. Feels like it's in. Okay. Now let's put these screws in. Come on. Let's see if I can double check if that board's in. No, it doesn't look like it's all the way in. No, it was not all the way in. Okay, that's open. Come on. That feels more like it. And that did sound like it snapped in. Okay. That's in now. And the other one. Kind of have to push on it this way to get the ears to line up properly with the screw holes. Alright, that's in. That's in. And just kind of wiggle to make sure we're seated in there properly. Okay. So we have the GPU in. Now I need to install the fan. So let's see what I got for screws. Okay, found the screws. 4 screws, 4 washers to mount the radiator. I did notice a little buggering on some of the fins, but I hope that doesn't make much difference. Let's see if this way's better. Nope, I think I have to go this way. Okay, let me get one of these guys primed. So this is the 120. I got to go into the 120 holes. They have another set for... Come on. They have another set for the... Okay, managed to get that in okay. Now I'll get the diagonal side. Let me line that up. Okay, and the other two. Looks like I'm going to have to do something with these hoses. Well, it looks like it'll move okay, so that's not a problem. And the last screw. Okay, let's snug these down. Again, not applying too much torque. You do not want to strip out the aluminum threads. One more time. Okay, so that's the GPU. I'm going to take a break and then install the CPU cooler. Okay, we're getting very close to completing the component installation portion of the build. And what we have left, the last portion of this phase, is the installation of the CPU cooling block. With the H100i, you get various adapters that go on the back of the CPU board, basically as a strain relief so the weight of the block isn't twisting the board. But with this particular motherboard, the X99, that comes built into the motherboard, so you do not need these. You do have to install some standoffs on the motherboard though, and they go into these sockets here, and the standoffs you use depends on which motherboard, which processor you're using. There's one here with a short stud and another with a long stud. The one for this 2011 V3 CPU is the short stud. So this is the one we're going to use. And you install it with the short stud in. The longer portion will be out for actually clamping on the block. So it goes in short stud first. So let me put the first one in. And I probably should be wearing the wrist strap just to be safe. Okay. And let me get the other three ones. I'll just put them in loosely at this point. Well, that's not helping much. Again, the short side in. And the last one, short side in. Alright, so let me snug them up with my fingers, and then I'll use the needle nose to tighten them up a little bit more. Don't want to make them too tight. Okay, so that's enough. That's enough. That's enough. Okay, that's it. All right, so now is the last step, installing the CPU cooler. Okay, it's going to go in like that. And you want to have the Corsair name up. So it's going to go on like that. Okay? So, remove the plastic cover. The thermal paste is already on there, so I do not have to put any on. I've not put my fingers on thermal paste or on the CPU. Don't want any fingerprints or finger oils on it. So let's very carefully line this up. Okay, so that looks like that's right on there. Now we'll get the thumb screws. Just snug it down a little bit. Try to get this corner in. Okay, and two more. So, see, I got the one thumb screw on there, another one there. Oops, backwards. One there. And the last one here. Probably would have been easier to put this on before I put the GPU on, but oh well. So let's tighten this up kind of a little bit at a time. trying to make sure that it's flush. Let me just kind of wiggle it. So it should basically bottom out. The standoffs define the planarity of it so that it's flush with the face of the CPU. But again, you don't have to torque it down much. Just the last little bit here. Okay. So, that's it. CPU cooler is in. We're done with the component installation phase. Next stop, wiring. So, reviewing component install 3, make sure the PCI card slot latch is open before trying to install a GPU. The CPU cooler, the Corsair CPU cooler, has a USB cable that you plug into the cooler block so that the Corsair Link software can monitor the temperatures. And initially, when I put the CPU block on, and you won't see it in this video because I didn't install the cable when I did it. I had to later on, when I was doing the wiring, pull the CPU cooler block off or pull it up enough so that I could get the cable in. The other thing with that is that the USB cable that plugs into the cooler block, it's a 90-degree angle connector on it, kind of hits one of the heat sinks at the bottom of the CPU area. So it works, but it's kind of an odd fit. And finally, it probably would have been better to install the CPU cooling block before the GPU. But it worked out anyway, so